All right, today is our second session in AC 103, and agenda for today is I'm going to try and finish the session that I started last week, and which is the menstrual cycle. We were supposed to finish it last week, but it got a little bit too much, so I had to leave it in the middle. And then we are going to do Subdoshas of Ayurveda. A portion of this has already been covered in AC 101. You know what doshas are, you know what Subdoshas are, you know what vata is. So things that have already been covered, I won't go through it, but I'll go through all the new information. And this is something that keeps on getting repeated throughout the program because the difficult concepts are based on the basic concepts, and each builds upon each other. So there's a lot of repetition. However, if you feel I'm going too fast, you can always ask me to repeat. So I'll basically be covering two presentations. All right. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha. You know the Subdoshas, you know the quality of Subdoshas. You also have been introduced to Vayu or Vata. So we're going to actually review the qualities of Subdoshas today and start with a little quiz. And we are straight away going to go to Subdoshas, which translate themselves into specific symptoms, and then how to balance that, a portion of which, again, you've already covered. So I'm not going to try and cover what was already covered. You know what doshas are, you know what Pancha Mahabhutas are. Let's review the 20 gunas. So you have 10 set of gunas, right? You have, each guna is opposite. So in Ayurveda, when we are trying to make any kind of protocol, whether it is a protocol for exercise a person that needs to do, heavy versus light, or the kind of food a person needs to eat, or the kind of activities they need to do, or the kind of herbs we give them. All of that is, based on these 20 gunas, which are the gunas of the Mahabhutas, which are the guna of the doshas. So you have to know them. There's no way around it. You have to know them inside out. Now, Sanskrit is given, and I'm not expecting you to learn Sanskrit, but at least know the, heavy, light, dull, sharp, cold, hot, oily, dry, smooth, rough. And that's one of the reasons we are repeating it. You need to know it. It needs to be on your fingertips. Even when I teach Nadi, when I teach pulse assessment, the thing that you're looking for, as you get more comfortable in the pulse, are these 20 gunas. The gunas will tell you what dosha and what Mahabhuta is out of balance. So we've talked about this before, so very quickly: dense, liquid, soft, hard, static, mobile, subtle, gross, clear, and cloudy, right? So there's a mini test here. I've given you a few of these things: dry, heavy, light, mobile, sharp, hot, stable, cold, slow, cold, oily, soft, and light. So you can also unmute yourself if you want, or you can put it in the chat window. Tell me the gunas or quality of Shannon. Now, she's a dancer. She's tall. She's thin. She's got dry hair. Her nails are brittle. Skin's dry and rough. So tell me what her gunas are. I get the light. Where are you getting the cold from? Air ether? Just wondering, Rabia, where you're getting the cold from. That's it? Anyone else? What about rough? It's right here. Right? Exactly. It's right here. It's dry. The skin would be rough. And if the skin is dry, hair is dry, there's the chances are, she tends to suffer from constipation. And yes, that would lead us to assume, And you're right, Rabia, that she might have cold extremities, she might have cold hand and feet. But how did you come to the deduction? Because when someone is tall and thin and there's so much dryness and brittleness and roughness, you can make a deduction that this person is a vata, and vata has cold qualities. Yeah. And she's a dancer. What about mobile? Exactly. So this is exactly what's going to happen when you start seeing clients. We kind of really need to know their story. We are not doctors. Someone comes in, there's no medical chart. We want to know what their story is. What do they do? What are the stressors? What makes them tick? What do they like to eat? What is their faith? How do they want to spend their money? Are they are they fanatical in their faith, or they're just atheistic, or what is it? Who are they? The person inside. We want to know everything. And then we want to have so many questions about hair and skin and mala and all of those things. Of course, we ask these questions without any judgment. Let us to find out what the gunas are. Once we know what the gunas are, we know which mahabhutas are unbalanced. Once we know what mahabhutas are unbalanced, we know what doshas are unbalanced. If somebody is dry and rough and mobile, we know that that person is vata. If someone's dry and hot, if someone's hot and sharp, we know that's a pitta issue, right? Now look at the second one. Zachary has soft, beautiful eyes for a man. He's overweight, loves endurance exercises. He's the kind of person you can depend on, dependability. Walks and thinks slowly. What are the qualities that best describe him? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Soft, beautiful eyes. Soft. So the first one is going to be right there. Soft. And you know that those kapha eyes, right? Exactly. Exactly. You're getting it. Slow, overweight, he's heavy. And remember, a kapha person, if you were to give them a choice between running or dancing or doing endurance, they will always choose endurance. They will go and do wrestling or like a slower form of hatha yoga, because that's, or they will choose swimming or something, but not athletic swimming. Or they might go for a jog, but they're never going to run fast. But they'd like weight training and things like that. What about the person you can depend on? Dependability, stability, stable. Now, this is a quality that is not coming out in the physical appearance. Does it make sense? All right. I hope, this is it's all beginning to make sense. That's why I had created this. And also to let you know how important, you have to know the 20 gunas, the 10 opposing qualities. Except if you don't know that, then we cannot make a prognosis on what things we need to balance. Let's look at Jane. She's an intellectual and always feels the need to be in an air conditioner. She misses a meal, she gets grouchy, she has a temper. So from these, or if you can think of any more, think of her gunas. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yes, she's hot. She's hot. What about she's an intellectual? Sharp intellect? Exactly. You're getting it. You're getting it. She misses a meal, she gets grouchy. This would also be sharp appetite. Because if someone gets hypoglycemic, if they miss a meal, not because they have a medical condition, just because they have a very fast metabolism, again, it's a sharp appetite, sharp mind, very hot, again, hot and sharp are coming out here. If I had written that she also has skin and she tends to break out, which probably is a chance she does because this seems like a textbook pitta, then that breakout you would say oily as well. And maybe Zachary does too. But the oiliness in a vata person, in a kapha person, and a pitta person is different. Pitta person, the oiliness is, yeah, it's in the skin, but also a lot around the hair. And in kapha person, the oiliness is more the fat under the skin, so they tend to be overweight. Does it make sense? So like a pitta person, when their hair is oily, they'll get, the sebaceous glands and sudiferous glands have a lot of um, things that they're producing, so they can have dandruff, or they can have acne, or they can have pimples, they can have some breakouts. For kapha person, their skin is usually beautiful, but the fat and the oiliness is usually under the skin. That means there's a layer of fat under the skin. It's a cold fat. Think of ice cream. It's not melted, it's inside. But of course, kapha can also have skin issues as well. But, the pittas are definitely going to have skin issues, especially when they're disturbed. Okay. Is it all making sense now? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So this is why we need, so before we go, when someone walks in the door, we want to find out what their qualities are. Once we know their qualities, I mean, I can talk for 5 hours about how do you balance a vata, pitta, or kapha person. But you can print that out. You can print the protocols from all the information that we're giving you, and you have it, and you can give it to your client just to start with, right? When you start working with people. But to know what you need to balance right now in their Vikriti, you need to know the gunas. So once you know the gunas, if someone, once you know the gunas, you know the element. Once you know the element, you know the dosha that is unbalanced. That is, you've already done this once, or if someone has, somebody's overweight and, there's heaviness, but also this person would be more stable. I'm not saying an obese person is stable, but, we kaphas, I'm a kapha, we tend to be a little overweight, but we are someone you can depend on. I told you the watery quality of pitta and kapha is just a little bit different, but it's a cold. The water in pitta is the acid in the body. The water in pitta is, it's the bile, it's the liver enzymes, it's the oil that is produced by the glands, it is the sweat. For a pitta person, it is the fat cells, and it is water retention, water in the interstitial spaces and so on and so forth. Fire, air, space, we've done this before, so I'm not going to get into it. Like I said, I want to give you new information. But yeah, you really, really have to. This is the time you're going to have almost 1 month free in July because you're on the summer break. You want to go over all the material that you've done. And you definitely want to know these things because as we go, after July, come August, you'll be like, oh my God, you have to know this. This is foundation. Without this, we cannot do any client encounters. I think this was already done very quickly. Anywhere there's space in the body, there's organs in the body that have spaces. There's, little tubes like your, esophagus, your food pipe. It's a little tube that runs from your mouth to your stomach, and there's space in it so food can move. So anywhere there's space in the body, that's the element of space. Air is not just the air that we are breathing in and breathing out, but air is also the element of prana. That's how prana circulates as well. Fire is um, all the enzymes that are produced by the body, the digestive enzymes, any transformation that's happening. We already talked about water, and all the structure of the body, bones and muscles and tendons and ligaments and all of that is the earth. I think we did this. Did we? Have you done this with Atul yet? I'm not sure about this one. Atul mentioned this, the tanmatras. Yeah, you've done this? Okay, then I'm not going to do Fyatuas. The senses are connected to sensory organs, connected to actions, connected to motor organs, and each sense is connected to elements. So I just want you to look at the sense and the element. For example, smell is connected to earth. So when a person comes to you and they are unable to smell anything, then earth is unbalanced. Usually the taste and smell are very deeply connected. They'll also be not able to uh, when someone is not able to taste anything, that means their tongue is dry. You cannot taste in the mouth, then there's a water imbalance. It's also related to your genitals, because if someone has, if they have dryness down there, then they cannot have a good sexual relationship, because you need the rasa, you need the water in order for it to be pleasurable, right? So the taste, it's called taste. Vision is related to rupa, the tanmatra, and it's related to fire. So if someone vision has an issue, we know it's related to fire. Touch, let's say someone doesn't like to be touched or their skin is very rough, we know air is unbalanced. Someone is having a hearing problem, we know that space is unbalanced. Usually, for example, when you go and do AC 105 in some months, and you've been studying Ayurveda for some time, we talk about indriya and we talk about stress of indriya. For example, if someone is very sensitive to loud sounds, we know that their vata is imbalanced and we know their rasadhatu is imbalanced. So some of these things we talk about in the, you already know this, qualities of vata, pitta, kapha. I cannot stress it enough how you need to know this. Just memorize them, make flashcards, share with each other, put it on, put it on a little wall where you study. Uh, listen to classes when you're driving. I don't know. So you really need to memorize these things. So, we talked about, you've done your Prakriti Vikriti test before. And if you think of all these dry, light, cold, rough, subtle, mobile, clear, look at Vata. Light, small appetite, delicate, all of these gunas are the gunas that are, the dryness, dry hair, dry skin, constipation, light in weight, love to dance, cannot gain weight easily, cold extremities, rough skin, clear, very intuitive, and even clairvoyant sometimes, love to dance. All of these quality, which are the physical and mental quality of vata, is coming because of their gunas. All these characteristics of tridoshas, how they learn, how, whether they're critical. Like, I have a pitta mind, and it has taken me years. I mean, I don't even think about it, but I'm generally critical because my dad was pitta too. So, but, and my dad was my teacher. He, so I don't even think, I didn't used to think about it. It was only in my 20s I went to England. People said, "Oh my God, you're so critical." Like, really? I didn't realize it. So Pitta is going to be critical of themselves, and sometimes they're critical of others. But they're also, they're also well focused and they're good learners. But, there's always one thing that goes with the other. So with Vata, it doesn't mean Vata person is mental. I have to, it only means only when a vata is unbalanced, it can lead to different phobias. When a pitta is unbalanced, it can lead to anger issues and being judgmental and so on. And when a kapha is unbalanced, they'll start hoarding things. They'll become possessive and lazy, and they'll just obsess over an old something that happened 10 years ago and so on. There's only if they're unbalanced, if they're not, those quality of being heavy, deep, stable faith, the softness and love and compassion and steady mind. Yeah. Also, like kaphas can be frugal. So all of those gunas are converting themselves into the physical and mental characteristics and making us who we are. You know what Prakriti is? This was done. So basically, there are 7 combinations of Prakriti. Everybody in the class had done their, I'm going to answer in a minute. Everybody in the class had taken their Prakriti test and Vikriti test, right? So there's combinations. People say, "Oh no, I am all the 3 doshas." This is like 1 in 20 million or something. It's very hard to find a tridoshic person where vata, pitta, kapha are equal. And even if you find someone like that, where vata, pitta, kapha are equal, if that person is living in Arizona in summer, that person's pitta is always going to be higher than the other two doshas. Always at one time, one dosha is pradhana meaning dominant, because of the season. If a woman, even if, whatever dosha she may be, she's having her menstrual period, her pitta is going to be a little high, and in PMS, her vata is going to be a little high. It's just because we are not just made up of, remember, the environment that we live in, the place that we live in is going to affect us. So these numbers 3, 2, 1 represent 3 is being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Here V3, 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 V3 mean vata is dominant. P2, K1 means pitta is secondary and K1, kapha is least. Here it's the opposite, pitta is the least. Here pitta and kapha are equal. And here vata this would be a textbook vata person who's like, if there were 40 points to answer, she answered maybe 35 on vata, 2 for pitta, and 3 for kapha or something like that. And the same thing goes for vata, pitta, kapha. You have the dominant dosha, so you can have dominant, let me just put that in the chat window. So you have dominant dosha, you have tertiary dosha, and then you have the secondary dosha. So that can be written as 3, 2, 1, wherein 3 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Sorry, let me just make sure everybody's muted. Okay. Let's go to, so we were talking about, so you have the 3, 2, 1, where any dosha V, P, or K, vata, pitta, kapha is the dominant, that's when you write the 3. When any of those dosha is secondary, you write as 2, and when any of them is the least amount, you write as 1. But sometimes it can be 3, 2, 2. The other two doshas can be equal, right? Sometimes it is 3, 1, 2. Sometimes it is 3, 1, 1. Does it make sense? So it is not necessarily, sometimes you have a dual dosha, and we've been talking about dual doshas. In today's day and age, you can also be a vata person with a pitta mind, or a pitta person with a kapha mind. So your mind can have a little bit different dosha, because we are a product of our parents. If you had a pitta mother and a vata dad, so chances are you're either vata pitta or pitta vata, right? If you're one of your parent is kapha and one is your vata, chances are you're kapha vata or vata kapha. Or so if one of your parents vata and pitta, you could be vata pitta or vata pitta pitta vata. You could be any of those 4. It's genetics, right? And the last, like I said, 1 in millions, and you never find it. People say we are equal, but they're not. Is where everything is equal in exact equal amounts. So these are the combinations. So if you have Dr. Lad's book, Textbook of Ayurveda, he writes a lot about it, and there's a lot of information on the combinations of doshas, so do read about it. And the only way, honestly, it doesn't matter how much you read about it. It is only when you do the Prakriti Vikriti test for many, 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 many people that's going to start sinking in. So you don't have to wait for us to give you a homework, go find a client and do their test. You actually have to go and start doing it for your family, your friends, your clients. Just do it for fun, and you will find this thing, these numbers, and ask us questions, put them on the forum. That's what we are here for. So you have a few types of prakriti, and this is, this is very easy. I'm just going to, because we have another uh, presentation that we need to do, so I'm just going to quickly go through it. You have the Janma Prakriti, Deha Prakriti, Dosha Prakriti that I think she had talked about, Dr. Dhanada. So go through this, and if you have any questions, put them in the forums. This is the main thing that I want to talk about. Basically, we know everything about vata. We did vata, and we have done what are the five, how to balance vata. And we know vata is made of air and space. We know the qualities of vata. It's mobile, it is rough, it is dry, it is light, it is subtle, it is clear. We know all of that. Now, today we are going to do secondary or subdoshas. Now, when you have a client, when they have an issue with their elimination, menstrual cycle, labor pain, bowel movement, it is connected with the vata that is in the vata that is situated in your intestine, right? Let me write that down. And that is called apana. I think there's a few yoga teachers here, and there is an asana called apana asana, or wind relieving pose, right? Apanasana, wind pose. That is what apana is. Okay, it is not apana, it is apana. Okay, so we'll go a little bit more detail. I'm just kind of introducing you to the concept. Then you have, so we're starting with the lower part of the body, and then we're moving up here. Apana is in, lower part in the large intestine, and it is that feeling when you really want to go to the bathroom and you can't wait, and there's like a pressure that pushing the bowel movement. That pressure is apana vata. Then the second one, and we are now moving from your large intestine to your small intestine. So if you look at your gastrointestinal tract, where the stomach finishes, stomach finishes and it passes on to the small intestine, there's a little sphincter there. So, go and look at the image of anatomy, an anatomical diagram of your alimentary canal and your GI tract, and look at the stomach. It finishes, and there's a little sphincter, and that area where it's going, the very first area that the food is getting passed through is called duodenum. That is part of small intestine. And that area, so we have just written stomach, small intestine, exactly that area is where Agni resides. And this is, when someone, let me just write that down. When someone comes and says, I'm always bloated, feeling heavy, gassy. Oh, if I had a penny for every time I heard someone who had textbook vata person coming and saying, I'm so bloated, and they're eating so much raw food, or they're eating too much protein. Oh my God, why so much protein? Your body cannot digest it. You're a light 108 pounds person. Eat less protein, eat more things that your body can digest. This is where all that bloated, feeling heavy, being gassy, protruding abdomen, this is where it's coming from. As soon as that food is going there, that's when they will start feeling heavy. That is your samanam, right? Vyana. Vyana is the cardiovascular circulation, how the blood is getting circulated through the arteries and the veins, and how the blood, I'm pretty sure you had done it in school, the cardiovascular system. That's what Vyana is. It circulates blood and nutrients, oxygen. This is getting circulated because of Vyana. So we have moved up to heart. And Udana resides in throat. Think throat chakra. So think communication. The diaphragm area, the throat area, the vocal cords are here. And it kind of controls your communication, controls how you communicate with the world and others as well. And also your thyroid gland is here in this area. So that is Udana Vayu, Udana Vata. So one of the things is as you go along, we don't say Pranavata, Udanavata, Vyanavata, Samanavata, Apanavata. We do not do the second part. So when we're talking about jargons, we just say Prana, Udana, Vyana, Samana, Apana. Okay? Not Prana. Do not say Prana. Say just Prana, Udana, Vyana, Samana, Apana. I just want to make sure everybody is good. Yes, yes, Maria, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Prana, prana is all pervading consciousness, but prana from Ayurvedic clinical perspective is also the oxygen that is in our blood that is carried that we need. So it is both. So I'm going to save this for you, clear it, and let's now break these 5 categories of subdoshas down a little bit more. Here it is. So up we started from apana, samana, vyana, udana, pran. Let's go back, and we started from the bottom of our body. Think of all the 7 chakras. They're all connected to the vayus. So prana resides in the top of the head. You would think prana is life, that it should reside in the heart. But from Ayurvedic perspective, prana actually resides right on the top of the head. I don't know if you've ever watched, I am a big fan of, murder mysteries and stuff like that from my Agatha Christie days as a kid. How in TV shows they'll always say this person had a blunt force trauma to the head, right? Where if someone is hit in a certain place on that head, a person can leave the body because prana resides there. Prana also resides in different, like prana resides in your heart chakra as well, right? And if anybody gets hit in that solar plexus, the heart chakra area, they may die. So prana, the two from Ayurvedic perspective, the prana resides, think diaphragm, and not diaphragm so much. From Ayurvedic perspective, it's always on the top of the head. It is getting circulated. It is originating from the heart, but it is residing on the top of the head, right? And then it's getting circulated all over. And it's all pervading, and pran has no direction. It's all pervading. Udan, because at the end of the day, vayu, vata, we in Ayurvedic Vaidyas, we don't even use the word vata. We like to use this word called vayu. It is the same thing. Vayu means air. Vayu is just synonym for vata. So you will see me or hear me or Dr. Priyanka or Aparna ji, Atul say vayu, and you're like, what is vayu again? This is what vayu is. So you have prana, udana, vyana, samana, apan. Prana is all pervading. Udan, the direction is up. So when you inhale and exhale, and if there's a yoga teacher out there, they'll know what I'm talking about. So when you are exhaling, things are coming up. And if you meditate with that's when you can deepen things, right? You can almost communicate with your body like that. So the direction that comes up, I mean, think of, if you have like a frog in your throat, if you have some sputum stuck there, something is stuck there, your body immediately wants to throw it out, right? So the direction of udana is always up. It is, exhaling. It is going up. So so if you want to control udan, one of the things we do is give pranayam. Both for pran and udan, one of the things we give is pranayam. Pranayam is breathing exercises that actually balances these two. Then vyana. Now vyana becomes a little bit more clinical because this is a clockwise from the heart direction. It's cardiovascular circulation. Heart has 4 chambers. Blood is going to the body from some of the chambers and coming in. There is 2 chambers connected to the lungs, and all of this pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation, all of this is a function of vyana. But vyana is a little bit even more than that, because anything that is circulating from the body is vyana. So if you have a client who has a blood pressure problem, so we will say the vyana is unbalanced. And also if heart chakra is unbalanced, vyana can also be unbalanced because it's in the heart area, right? So these subdoshas are very deeply connected to the chakras. Samana is a directional periphery to center and back. So I'm just going to do a fun music thing. I don't know if that makes sense. It's almost like a churning. I mean, imagine you're blending something. So what is happening? The food that you've eaten, it gets broken down in the stomach. Now, it's broken down into chunks. It's gotten mixed with the, um, it's become chyle, chyle, or what we call ahara rasa. There is sputum and mucus and hydrochloric acid and enzymes, the digestive enzymes that break down food have mixed in. And now it's going through the intestine where the water and all the nutrients from the food now gets absorbed. And that, as it moves from periphery to center and back, that helps in the absorption. Does that make sense? There is a peristalsis. There's a movement that happens, and that movement in the small intestine helps in absorption. So when we say a person has malabsorption, meaning their body is not, they're eating food, but their body is not getting nutrition, that is malabsorption. So that malabsorption would also be a problem with samanavayu. Okay? And this is the takeaway from this entire, um, presentation, the vata presentation. Read about prana, udana, vyana, samanapan. Because when somebody comes to you, yeah, here is the vata dosha and chakras. Prana is third eye, udana is throat, saman is solar plexus. Actually, no, saman is not solar plexus. Vyana is heart, apan is root. Um, yeah, saman is below there. Saman is actually navel, the navel area. So you already know how to balance vata because we already did that in a previous class in AC 101. So what I want you to do is ask me questions about this before I move on to my next presentation. So prana, primary location, head, brain, and ears. Udana, diaphragm and throat. Vyana, heart, and it circulates blood. Samana, specifically small intestine. Apana, large intestine. These are the locations. And anything that is happening in these locations, any movement basically that happens in the body. And we haven't even gone to this, how the nervous system moves, things are moving. And that is also happening because of prana, and it's happening because of vyana. Anything that is circulating or moving, anything, that is because of vata. And this is like the fundamental thing that we are teaching you very first. And as you move on, we actually teach you about more pranas, not just these 5 subdoshas of vayu, subdoshas of vata, but we teach you 10. There's vata that is responsible for blinking of eyes. There's vata that's responsible, so even after you die, a person can still have a little bit of a beard coming in, hair still keeps on growing, nails still keeps on growing for 24 to 48 hours. So all of that, we do teach you. But today, digest this and see if you have any questions. Or you can ask me on forums, or you can ask me in the next class. Anybody? No? Still digesting? Sure. Go ahead. While you're... By mind, do I mean consciousness? No. Mind is not consciousness. No. So in Ayurveda, mind resides in mind is not the brain. Consciousness resides in the heart. Yeah, so Atul Atul does it in a lot of detail when you start AC 106. We have lots and lots of discussion about that. Okay. So before I start my other, here is, has everybody logged into Subdoshas yet? I know, Nicole, I saw your, I'm not sure if you could see the feedback that I put in, but I did see your entry. I think 2 or 3 people had put in. Then it is not a problem with Agni. If they're losing weight, that means they're dhatus. That means either they have some kind of actual problem where muscles are, so they might have autoimmune disorder. They need to go to a physician. If a person has autoimmune disorder, they might be losing weight. A person with autoimmune, some type of diabetes, may be losing weight. They might have an issue with they're losing muscle in their body, which is making them lose weight. So if something like that is happening, if a person is having adequate meals and they're still losing weight, they first and foremost, they need to go to a physician and get themselves checked out for any kind of metabolic disorders. And that is outside the scope of a counselor. Now, if they've already been to the doctor and there's nothing wrong with them, then we can get started. Yeah. Yeah. So you already have, please log in if you haven't. The recordings are here. This was the first journal activity. And the second one is the same thing, Subdoshas of Ayurveda that I did today, except this is a more one hour class. I want you to go through it and, write in the journal what you learned, right? Okay, and so log in. You will have plenty of time because we're off in July, but we're going to be finishing AC 102 and 103 together by June. So it's very heavy duty intensive month. So get started now. I know you will have time later too, but it would be good if you do that. And also, please, if you have any questions, uh, add a new discussion topic. This is what I am and Dr. Priyanka. I actually open every single day. I come online and see if anybody has posted any question. I am here for you. So if you don't post a question, I won't answer. So please do a lot of reading and post your questions so I can answer. And I have practitioner students standing by to answer your questions. It's such a wonderful way. I mean, we have lots of students who post their questions, and that's how we learn. So forum is a way of doing a discussion even when we are not online. So it is a very important way of learning things. So please take advantage of that. All right, now I'm going to start Nicole, if someone is losing weight, let's say, and they're eating adequately and they're losing weight, it might be a metabolic disorder. They need to go to their physician. They need to get themselves checked out for autoimmune disorders. They need to get themselves checked out for thyroid issues. They need to get themselves checked out for, if we want to make sure there's no metabolic disorder. And then once that is settled, then they can go to an Ayurvedic physician. Ayurveda is a holistic health modality because it might be something serious. If a person is losing weight despite eating, it might be. So you want to kind of rule those things out. I mean, I send people to physicians all the time. And once they've been there, like I'll have people, they'll come, oh, I'm so fatigued, I can't move. Have you been to your doctor? No. And then I look at them, so I say, I think you're anemic. So go to your doctor and do da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever they say, get your CBC done, whatever the doctor says, do that, and then come back to me. Oh yeah, the doctor said I'm severely anemic and I was given these iron tablets. Then I will give my ashwagandha or whatever I'm going to do. So it's a complementary medicine. So please understand what our scope is. As counselors, we are going to be counseling people as an adjunct. I mean, for me, I have, the kind of practice I have, everybody walks in. I get people, they are on they'll get their drugs out that they're taking, that their physicians have given them. They're taking metformin, they're taking something for the thyroid, they are on beta blockers, or they're on SSRIs, and they will, fish out the report. But um, you have to, from a counselor, the scope is just counseling. So we could definitely help with counseling and lifestyle interventions and even some diet. But you know if someone has certain symptoms like that, they do need to go to their physician, medical doctor, and get themselves checked out. And if there's nothing wrong, then it is our moral obligation to ask them to do that. All right, let's pause for a second.